All right, let's talk about one of the hottest interviews in enterprise tech right now, the Oracle Fusion HCM consultant. If you've got one of these on your calendar, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to walk through the key questions and, more importantly, the kind of answers that are really going to make you stand out.
So let's just dive right in, shall we? We're not just going to list off some questions. Oh no, we are putting you right in the interview hot seat.
You know that feeling, right? You're sitting there, that mix of excitement and maybe a few butterflies. The moment of truth is about to happen.
That really is the big question, isn't it? But don't you worry. By the end of this, the answer is going to be a very confident yes. Let's get you there.
Okay, so here's the thing about any good interview. They always start with the fundamentals. They want to know you've got a solid grasp of the big picture before they even think about getting into the weeds. This is where you build that initial credibility. And boom, there it is. The question you know is coming, almost guaranteed. It seems so simple, right? But believe me, your answer here sets the entire tone for the rest of the conversation. So, how do you define it?
Your goal here is to be super clear and comprehensive. It's not just one application, right? It is a full suite, and it's built to manage the entire life cycle of a company's most important asset, its people.
And this is how you prove you know what comprehensive suite really means. You back it up. You casually mention these key modules. You've got global HR, talent management, all the way down to payroll and absence management. It just shows you understand the true scope of the platform.
Okay, now for the follow-up. This is the real test. They know you can define the tool, but do you get the why? Why does a business spend millions of dollars on a system like this?
This right here is where you separate yourself from the pack. You have to connect the technology to actual business outcomes. You talk about aligning people with company goals, about boosting performance, about navigating all those complex regulations, and just generally managing the workforce more effectively. That's the language that gets executives excited.
All right, foundations poured, and now we need to look at the actual blueprint. We're shifting from the what and the why to the how, the fundamental building blocks of the entire system.
So this question is really testing your architectural knowledge. An organization is a complicated beast, and the interviewer wants to know if you really get how Fusion HCM models all of that complexity.
And these are the 5 pillars you've just got to know cold: jobs, positions, grades, departments, and organizations. They are the absolute essential elements that define that organizational framework. This is non-negotiable.
Okay, now pay close attention here, because this is where a ton of people get tripped up. The difference between a job and a position. A job is just that generic template, the what. Think software engineer. But a position is the specific instance of that job, filled by a real person, the who and the where. Nailing this distinction shows you've been in the trenches.
So, you've got all these different structures, jobs, positions, all that stuff. But how do you actually see how they all connect? What's the tool inside Fusion that lets you manage all of that?
The answer you're looking for is Fusion trees. This is the whole mechanism for mapping out those complex org charts and reporting lines. And here's a key detail to throw in. The predefined trees that come out of the box, you can't modify them. That's a super important constraint to be aware of.
And if you really want to impress them, you'll mention the 4 main types of trees you're going to be working with. You've got department, organization, position, and geography trees. Each one has a very distinct job in mapping out the enterprise.
And we absolutely cannot talk about core structures without bringing up the Legislative Data Group, or LDG. This is so critical. It's how Fusion makes sure that payroll and all that sensitive data follow the specific laws in each country. It's the system's secret weapon for handling global complexity.
All right, theory time is over. Now for the main event. This is the hands-on stuff, the scenarios. This is where they find out if you can actually do the job.
Here's a perfect example. They might say, okay, a client needs to set up sick leave and vacation leave, and they each have different rules. Go. This isn't a one-word answer. It's a whole process.
And you don't panic. You just walk them through it, step by step, nice and logical. You'd say, well, first, you define the absence types. Then, you create the plans to govern them. After that, you specify the accrual and eligibility rules. And then, the most critical step, you link it all to payroll so people actually get paid correctly. See? That structured answer shows you think like a consultant.
Let's do another classic. This one goes right to the heart of setting up a new company in the system. How do you build those foundational legal and business structures from scratch?
And again, it's a clear 2-part process. First, you create the legal entity, that's the legal shell.
Second, you create the business unit, and this is the key, you link it back to that parent legal entity. That's how you connect the operations to the legal side of the house. Simple, clear, and absolutely correct.
So as you're answering all these questions, just remember what they're really listening for. It's not just your functional and technical knowledge. They're trying to gauge your hands-on configuration skills and, honestly, how you'd troubleshoot when things get messy.
So as we wrap this up, let me leave you with this final thought. The best consultants, the ones that are truly valuable, they don't just configure systems. They use these tools to drive real business success. So the ultimate question you should be asking yourself isn't about what buttons to click. It's about what value you can create. Go into that interview with that mindset, and you won't just answer the questions. You'll get the job.